Hello, everybody. It is me, Pacific. No, I'm not talking about Boy George. Culture Club. I wanted to share a few thoughts with you tonight. First, let me start off by saying that my friend at work on break, she pulled up. You guys need to pull this up. It's called That Gotye Song, Gotye. These two guys in their car did a spoof on the Gotye song, and it is so funny. They do a very funny imitation of that woman, whiny woman in the song, and it's great. I sent it to one of my friends, and she was rolling on the floor laughing. I'm laughing when my friend showed it to me at work, and I'm like, that's great. So you guys need to check that. I was thinking about a couple things, and I'm calling this Culture Club because I'm going to throw out a few thoughts. I made a comment to my viewers not too long ago that I've said that I really have to learn to get back into my culture, that this is where I live and this is where it's at. But I'm going to be honest with you and tell you that no matter what, I still have a struggle trying to accomplish that. Let's see if I can get this better clarity here. I have come to the following conclusions. And things didn't help one bit when I came home today. And no. Don't get me wrong. I am glad. The lady that I like across the ocean, the one that's far away, the Asian, she wrote me two lovely emails. She's got a heart as deep as the ocean, and it's amazing for her 23 years of age, the depth in her blows my mind. When she talks to me through her emails, I'm amazed at how similar we are and what we grew up with, and some of the backgrounds of feeling insecure and teased and laughed at, and on it goes. And I don't want to be too personal, but she's been busy at her schooling, and the other day I yelled, I don't know if it was in my bus when I was empty, and I said, God, how come that I look at people all around me, and can I be blunt? I've got so many things to talk about. I look at people around me that got attitudes and that are not pretty inside or out, and they get everything they want. They're spoiled brats. They're unthankful. They're unholy. They're just rude. And I think, why is it that you put me back in Denver? What is the point? I went to work this morning, did my routes. I did my routes fine. Came back, and I just was feeling tired. Some flurries and foul weather moved in, and that doesn't help me anymore. And my friend come up and says, you look like you're in a funk. Are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just kind of frogged out today. And she goes, what's wrong? And I said, you want to know the truth? I said, when I look at my Hong Kong pictures and I think of some of the memories I had, though some of them were sinful, I said, I get sad. I said, when I look at the fact I dated some pretty women over there, and here, I think that, the women I work with and how rude and uncool they are, and how even if they were interested in me, there'd be nothing but damage and drama and problems, and the relationship would never last. And it hit me about our culture. Our culture over here, when you've tasted wine, you don't want to drink beer. And I'm going to say something very blunt, viewers, and I might have to make this R-rated too, but I probably won't. I'm not going to be too graphic, but I'm going to say something. I've been with a few women in my life, and I have come to the conclusion that there's a certain look that I like on a woman more than all the others, and it always comes back to, guess what? You guessed it. Asian. I like that brown skin. I like that black hair. I like their tiny petite bodies, their small breastedness. I just get so turned on by that. And I told you before, and I'm not going to go on and on, but this gal overseas, it makes me sad because she's so deep. We have such the same heart. There was none of that in Bath. There wasn't any of that in the girls I dated over there, and I did find their beauty and their simplicity very arousing to me, but I couldn't have the level of depth and conversation and intelligence with them like I do this gal. And there's the old battle. Some of my viewers say, if you want something bad enough, but then I stop and go, hold it. There's the belief in America that goes around, you can do anything you want if you set your mind to it. I'm going to tell you something. Pacific has ran into personal experience. That is not true. If the Lord builds the house, I have to say that to my viewers. We pick up a lot of false teaching in our culture that we live by that, and it's not true. You know, God said about the ocean, this far you may go and no further. He sets the boundaries for the seas. On a sidebar, it is sad. They're claiming that this thing wrecked in the Indian Ocean. They have not got a confirm on wreckage that it's indeed from the flight. They're just saying that the last known pings show it somewhere from 1,600 miles from Perth, Australia. The news was in the surviving family members' faces. Those Asian women went nuts, hitting, lashing out, crying, very upset. I have no respect for press. It gets in the face of grieving people. It just makes me sick. And I am amazed at how heartless the press is. I'm sorry, I'm adjusting this because I have to keep it cool. Otherwise, the video quality is affected if this thing starts heating up. What I'm trying to say, viewers, is I felt compassion. I had a very interesting discussion tonight with the man of the house. He kept coming in all week saying, oh, for crying out loud, they're going on and on about this plane. They haven't found anything. And I said, yeah, it's getting a little old. Tonight he said something again, and I said, well, I do feel sad for the surviving families. They haven't had a sense of closure. You know, where is it? They don't know for sure what really happened. And I said, I feel for them. He got quite annoyed and said, why would you have compassion on people you don't even know? I said, isn't that what Jesus wants us to do? He says, what about 60 years ago when they didn't even report this stuff? Were you supposed to have compassion when people were wiped out by a volcano in another village? And I said, well, I didn't know about it. He said, there's nothing I can do for these people, but I can still feel a sense of compassion that, man, I hope they could find this plane so that at least the family will know, okay, it went down. He got into a pretty healthy debate with me, to which I had to say, I don't agree with that. And he made a comment about Augustine. He said Augustine believed that curiosity was sin. And I said, really? I said, so what would that make Moses when Moses saw that the bush was on fire but not burning up? And Moses said, I'm going to go see why this bush isn't burning up. Was that not curiosity? Well, that's different in a plane crash. I said, wait a minute. He said, Augustine said that curiosity is a sin. If Moses didn't have that curiosity, would he have gotten the call from God? He thought it was wrong for me to have compassion for people not connected to me. And I said, would you like people to feel, I said, what if your wife was on that flight? That's different. I'm connected to her. I said, I don't have to be connected to those people to have human compassion and say, I feel for them. And he got upset, started yelling. Why am I mentioning this? I'm going to bring a lot of loose ends together. My lady friend asked me at work today, what's wrong? I said, I'm sad. I said, when I'm loading my pictures from Hong Kong and seeing the pretty women I dated, and I think of some of the fond memories I had over there. Some were sinful, some were not. But I said, and then you come back to this culture with loudmouth, feminist, obnoxious, overweight, hateful women. And you go, why would I want to be in this culture? And you go to church on Sunday, and I heard some good preaching and teaching yesterday. And I'm going to say some of my viewers, you all say, why do you go? Because we need to go to church. I'm sorry. The Bible teaches it. I believe it. And I need to get good teaching. It's hard to apply that to my own life. I'm sinful too. But it's amazing. Some people chit-chatted with me yesterday in class. One older man, we were talking about the intellect of the stuff that was being discussed in Sunday school. And I did get the point. The Sunday school teacher was talking about how as Baptists we tend to be orthodox in our doctrine. There was 3 words, and I can't remember them all. One was orthodoxy, orthopraxy, which is to do. And the other one was about ortho, something regarding to feel. And I raised my hand. He called on me. I said, we're good at the first 2. But I said, as far as Baptists, we have a reputation of not having the feel. Ironically, he says, I agree. Ironically, I look at him and go, I think that you're guilty of that. I didn't say that. I value his teaching. But I feel that in our culture, people just don't care. This woman wants to befriend me. She said, I want you to be friends with my husband and I. Part of me is uncomfortable with that because I don't have a woman mate with me where we could be couples friends. But I haven't said no to it. She has not come on to me or advanced on me in any way. She is very strongly committed to him. And she shares, I said, you don't have to do this. And she gave me some of her chicken today. And I said, you don't have to do this. She goes, I want to. Her relationship with her father is healthy. And it's been good to be in the presence of somebody in America who's well balanced. But I told her today, I said, can I be honest with you? Our culture sucks. I said, look around in this break room. A friend of mine was talking to me yesterday and got me, he tried to encourage me to get on Plenty of Fish. And I said, no, I'm not getting on a dating site. Then he sent me a link showing a page in Denver showing all these available Asian women. I'm like, what? There's all these, wow. And they looked pretty. Some were young, some were my age. They all seemed simple. And I'm like, wow, all these. I said, nah, I don't want to go through this. So I finally gave in because I said, I don't want to do. I got a profile together, put it on there. And last night I started looking. There's a section called Meet Me. Do you want to meet me? Yes, maybe no. Every single one of them that I saw, I put no. All white women, all obese. Everyone without exception. Every single one. I called them and I said, dude, this is a waste of time. Not one of them is Asian. And then I find out that if you want to respond to messages or anything, then you have to pay to upgrade. And I'm like, done. I'm going to tell my viewers something. Do not pay for a dating site. Do not. They claim it has a 98% success rate. I don't believe it. I'm done. I'm already done, and it's been 24 hours. I came home tonight. Somebody wants to meet me. I have no way to access the messages. I'm like, you know what? Forget it. And then I looked at her pictures, and she was heavy. And I need to say something. I have tried in my heart to get over the Asian thing. The lady from across the ocean said, do you really miss Hong Kong? There are aspects of it I miss, and I really mean this. Yes, I have sin in me. And I love beautiful women. But deep in my heart, I want commitment to one. I did it for 14 years and didn't cheat on her. Oh, mentally I had some thoughts that I won't share with you. because I hated the marriage. But if I was willing to do that for somebody I did not have passion for, how much more for somebody I would? And I started thinking about it. I don't want to go back to Hong Kong to go sin and go to videoke and dance and play with the girls. I know I could do that. But it's empty, folks. We guys bond too when we make love. And I'm going to be honest, I like the slender, petite, small-breasted Asian women. They do more for me physically. I like the small size for hugging and cuddling. How much more when I meet somebody online who, when she writes, I'm like, dang, this girl's mature. And she's admitting her faults. And yet they don't repel me. I'm like, really? I have that same problem. Wow. I think you're being hard on yourself. And I have a belief that sometimes when two people come together, some of the nervousness and some of the low self-esteem goes away when somebody just loves you as you are. I don't want viewers writing me saying, there must be some way. Don't encourage that. That's a carrot on the end of a stick. So I wrote to her, and I'll say to my viewers, if God is in something, he can open doors that I know nothing about. So I don't mentally masturbate this issue anymore. I learned from Beth. I learned from all this online stuff and said, we try too much to manipulate things to go our way, and it doesn't work. Talking about culture. Plenty of Fish, Denver, Colorado, Aurora, Lakewood, Arvada, Westminster, Wheat Ridge, all the surrounding suburbs. Obese woman, obese woman, obese woman. I have a dog, I have a cat, I have a dog, I have a cat. I love my TV. And I'm going, it's a culture. When I go to church on Sunday morning, I hear another shot at those that are materialistic by the pastor. And I know the church I'm in, all of these people are materialistic. And he's got to keep saying the same thing. And I'm like, it's not registering with them. I watched a Christian brother, come into work today and dump a bunch of DVDs on the counter and say, here, these are free. A lot of them movies I wouldn't even watch. And I'm like, look at all the money that was spent on these. And I'm not condemning him. At least he's downsizing and cleaning out stuff. How much is a DVD? $20, $10, and all that. You watch it. And I'm good for a movie once, folks. I'm not interested in collecting DVDs and movies and watching them again and again. It's like once I've seen it, I'm done with it. Funny, I don't even buy music anymore. I listen to music on the internet. It's free. YouTube. All this cultural stuff went through my mind. And do I flirt at work? Yeah, there's a couple gals I flirt with jokingly. They're not interested in me, and deep down inside I would not want a relationship with them because they've got problems. But they're kind of cute. But I'm going to say something that I've learned. Flirt, I don't mean kiss. I don't mean making out. I don't mean any of that. Make eyes and go hi and tap them on the shoulder. But even I realize none of the women in this break room would be able to keep me. Even if they were totally into me, they don't have staying power. They don't have staying power. I have been deeply affected by the Asian virus. Do I want somebody just because they're Asian? No. But I'm admitting to you that I have my ideal. There has been some that have expressed an interest in me over here, not Asians. And though I like them and though they've become my friends, I just don't feel this overwhelming magical moment that, yes, this is it. And I know why. My heart is not here. I'm in Lakewood. They walk around a lake with boring, dowdy dressed people. People that don't talk. People that don't smile. People that just, some of them think that they're just all that. It's funny. I was reading this morning in the Bible. There are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him, and one of them was haughty eyes. Unbelievable. And we're seeing that all over the place in America. Women with haughty looks, haughty eyes. This book was put down on the table today by somebody that I work with. As far as I know, he's not a Christian, but he's moving to New Mexico, and he's dropped off an incredible amount of stuff, and I'm amazed at how much books and stuff. I'm like, man, this guy was quite intelligent. I'm looking at the books and the stuff he's dropping off for us to have, and I read this, and I'm like, oh, this is probably some secular hogwash, the family. Let me read you the back. Bradshaw on the Family, a revolutionary way of self-discovery. Based on the television series of the same name, John Bradshaw focuses on the dynamics of the family, how the rules and attitudes learned while growing up become encoded within each family member. As 96% of all families are to some degree emotionally impaired, the unhealthy rules we are now living by are handed down from one generation to another and ultimately to society at large. Our society is sick because our families are sick, and our families are sick because we're living by inherited rules we never wrote. You know, it's funny. His credentials: he's a host of the nationally televised PBS series Bradshaw on the Family, as well as the previous 8 Stages of Man. He was born in Houston, Texas, and was educated in Canada, where he studied for the Roman Catholic priesthood, earning 3 degrees from the University of Toronto. For the past 20 years, he's worked as a counselor, a theologian, a management consultant, and as a public speaker. John Bradshaw is married and has 3 children. Now, I'm not saying I agree with everything in here, but then I get to this part called, on page 103, Religious Addiction, the Purple Family, and I'm not going to suffer you guys by reading this, but it talks about a family. And the wife, Pavilia, doesn't dialogue with her children or with anyone for that matter. She always knows what is right and firmly but gently lets them know. When the children are hurting, she consoles them with scriptural quotations and moral exhortations. Excuse me, the family is a compulsive family. Mom is addicted to the ecstasy she feels when she experiences her sense of righteousness in prayer, moralizing by biblical readings, or in religious services. She uses this feeling of goodness to distract herself from how lonely, how disappointed, sad, and angry she feels. She plays the role of being good and righteous. Saint Mom. The children call her Saint. Mom is also severely codependent. She obsesses on her husband and children. She stays in her head, worrying so much of the time that she doesn't have to feel her own loneliness and emptiness. The husband was raised by a domineering and controlling mother. That sounds like my mom. His mother divorced his father at an early age and badmouthed the father for years to come. Anytime Biff wanted money or anything that cost money, the mother would blame his father. She sexually abused Biff by continuously demeaning his father to him. She categorized his father with all men who think with their penis. Biff became an irresponsible kind of person, always messing around and looking for fun. The oldest daughter, Maggie, takes some of the heat off the parents' marriage by being the perfect one. She's like a robot, always saying the right thing. She's goal-oriented and super-achieving. The drug-abusing son, Raldo, is the family scapegoat. He acts out the covert rage of his parents. This goes on and on. I wanted to share with you a memory that came flying in the other day. It was literally out of nowhere. I was eating some food, and I remember when I was a kid, I was a normal teenager, but even to this day, I have a high metabolism. Now, let me set the backdrop. Lived in Mammoth Lakes, California. We got 20 to 40 feet of snow in the winter, and I shoveled it. I did the driveway, the path to the house, which was quite long, the second floor deck, the roof of the steep cathedral ceiling house. I shoveled and shoveled and shoveled. And then I shoveled for neighbors and made money. In the summer, we got 8 to 10 cords of firewood out of the woods ourselves. My dad would cut them up. I'd haul the lengths to the truck. I worked my butt off. My dad, who is and was overweight, always obese, did not always eat very healthy, would make fun of me because I ate so much. Put downs. I remember one time I had finished up the last of the butter, and I was just a teen, and I was out moving about, and I'd put butter on my bread and this and that. And in front of my cousin, he said, "Did you eat all the butter again?" I said, "Well, yeah, we ran out. I'm sorry." And he yelled at me and called me the butter bandito and made fun of me and made fun of me eating so much and this and that. And I remember as a kid internally going, "You're making fun of me for eating too much when I'm burning all of this off to shovel out your car, the shovel that you don't lift a finger to use, and you're obese, and I've got more energy than you, and I'm like a locomotive out here." And I'm thinking in my child self, how dare you hypocrite. And I had this memory come back, and I thought, wow, I had forgotten about that. And I thought, yeah, I grew up pretty angry at the stuff that was said to me. Made fun of because I would talk too loud. Always told to, shh, be quiet, shh, you're too loud, cutting me off. When I had any emotion or passion about something, "Oh, you're flibbity gibbet, you must have eaten corn again." I grew up in that culture, a culture of put-downs. I was sharing with my friend today that when I was in Hong Kong, because we were watching That Goat Ye song, and I was like, the sarcasm in this is great. And I said, but you know what? When I was overseas, I had to learn that when I was sarcastic, my friends would say something, and I'd say, "Oh, yeah, that'd be a good idea." What I mean is, that wouldn't be a good idea. And they go, "You think that'd be a good idea?" I don't. I said, "No, that's what I meant. I'm sorry I'm being sarcastic." And I had to learn. Satire is missed on a lot of the Filipinos over there. They couldn't track with me, and I had to learn. These people are not as hardened and jaded as your culture is. Come back down and be simple. And I stopped it. I stopped it. And it suddenly dawned on me, man, we really are messed up. The time I spent in Hong Kong, even though I had my follies, I started to become sensitive to things again. When I came back to the U.S., I was shocked at how harsh it was. 5 months, I started to become more tender. Come back to the U.S. and say, "Oh, this is harsh." What I'm learning from this book, just about the religious family, born-again Christian, he said too, this woman. A lot of women I know hide behind religiosity and God. I remember when my wife, who was very impossible for me to live with, when I divorced her, I remember that suddenly she calls me and goes, "You know, a woman came up to me in church and said, 'I just know God has wonderful plans for you. He's going to use you to speak out of the suffering that you've endured by this divorce.'" And I'm like, are you serious? And for several days she goes, "I just believe God is so close to me, and He has such a special relationship with me because of all the things that I've been through." You need to watch that Goat Ye song. They made fun of the woman in there. "Now and then I think of all the times you screwed me over." Oh, they rip her apart. I was talking to a Christian Mexican brother today. He actually goes to a Jewish-style church, Messianic congregation, and I told him about my videos, and I said, I've been dealing with feminism, and I told him, I elaborated, and he says, "You know, actually, that's good." He says, "I'm constantly looking at the way women dress in church, and they won't say anything about it." And he says, "You're right, they condemn men for lust, and they don't," he says, and I told him, "Well, feminism," I said, "What do you think about that?" I said, "That's not ladylike, it's not biblical." And he says, "Wow," he says, "you talk about that stuff?" And I said, "Yeah." I showed my friend the video of me on the Hong Kong ferry. She said, "Wow, that is beautiful." The other girl that found out about my videos at work, I started it. I said, "Hey, how are you?" And I've noticed that she hasn't been rude to me, but I've noticed there's a little bit of distance. And I said, "Have my videos scared you off?" And she laughed nervously. No, no. I said, yeah, they've done something to you. I said, are you freaking out? Well, no, no, no. She said her boyfriend absolutely doesn't want to watch me. And I thought, no, I don't imagine he would want to. And at first I started to feel bad. And I thought, wait a minute. He was in the military. He played football. He's a big macho guy. And why in the world would he want to watch your videos where you're being real about things? Most people in our society aren't real anymore. Most people freak out when they watch my video going, oh my gosh, I would never say that to this guy. It's weird. He is weird. Transparency scares people. So why am I calling this video Culture Club? Because I'm throwing out different pieces of culture. The culture I had when I was in Hong Kong. The culture I have on Sunday morning in church. The culture here in Lakewood. The culture here in this house with the man and the woman of the house. The culture at work. The culture within my own school bus. The culture on the road. Do you know that I come into contact with lots of cultures in a day? And this woman writes me telling me I don't fit in with the culture here. And yet, I could go back to the Philippines and Cebu, but I don't know if I want to do that either. I notice that people are losing their warmth and kindness all over the place. I'm watching a friend of mine overseas get involved with a man that there's no attraction to. And then as I kind of pinned her down, find out her aunt lives in the UK and her aunt wants her to come visit her, and her aunt introduced her to this man, and she goes, well, yeah, he can fund my tourist visa. Ah, using. Gotcha. No, no, I'm not using. I love him. I love him. You've talked to him on Skype for 2 weeks. Are you freaking serious? You cannot love somebody talking to them 2 weeks on Skype, never having met them. Wow. Pacific is getting smarter and a little bit more cynical. But I said, well, I'm going to honor you by doing this. Because I was close to you and because we shared some intimacy and that we were dating while I was over there, I said, I'm going to let you go. You've made a decision and I don't want to interfere with that. I think you're making a wrong decision. But I said, even at this point, I'm not going to say you're my enemy, but I said, we're not going to talk anymore. I'm going to delete you from my Skype account. And I did. And I said, you take care. Because when you're pursuing somebody, you don't need to be holding on to old boyfriends or ex-boyfriends. She agreed. So I only have one person now that I talk to in Hong Kong who's a friend of mine. That's it. And I realized something. Out of all those girls I dated, enough time has gone by. One went to Montreal. One went back to the Philippines. Another one gained an incredible amount of weight and isn't pretty anymore, one that I had spent quite a bit of time with. Another one, nobody knows where she went. My friends that knew her. The woman that I got involved with, who was Chinese, went back to her life that she's not proud of, her husband. And it suddenly dawned on me, you know what, Pacific? All those people are going away. And now that a couple years has gone by since I've left Hong Kong, I ask myself, would you have been happy to be married to any of those women based on what you know now? You haven't even dated this one across the ocean that you're talking to that met you through your YouTube channel, but you're impressed with her intelligence. You see, what I'm learning is, even though Pacific has problems, I'm deeper than that. Simplicity, singing, and dancing is fun, but I do have an intellect. And I want to use it. The girl's pretty. She's Asian. She's Filipino. She's intelligent and a deep thinker, and is miles ahead of any of the girls I knew over there, intellectually. Why wouldn't I be attracted to her? But I also know the reality. I cannot pursue somebody in a foreign country. How can I? We did this already, and that blew up. Not just because we were not compatible, Beth and I, but the immigration thing, that wasn't going to happen. You see, I've learned that sometimes God protects us, and God does put a boundary around us. Remember what Job said? Or excuse me, in the book of Job, do you remember what Satan says? Have you not put a hedge around him? Remove that protection, God, and he'll curse you to your face. Christians, do you not realize God puts hems us in? I don't want to be in Denver, but even I recognize God clearly, when that snowplow hit me in Columbia Falls, outside Columbia Falls, Montana, I know. And as I shared with my friend at work today, she goes, I think God was telling you even before that what you were supposed to do, but he sometimes uses some more dramatic things to get our attention. It's funny, when I submitted that, I went up to Kalispell, filed the accident claim. They said, we will take care of this. It'll be about a month, but you'll get a check. I came down here to Denver a month later. I had a check for $2,700. They paid for all the issues and then some. You know, when we submit to God's will, things just work. And viewers ask me, can't you get into Hong Kong? There must be some way. I'm not trying anymore, folks. There's no reason to. There's nobody over there to pursue. Can I be very honest? It was about lust. They were pretty, they were cute. But how long can you have unlimited sex, but then you don't have anything else but silliness? Or girls getting mad because you're not giving them everything they want. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I want a relationship, but I want this one to work. I want this one to be good. I want something to build for. So I try to get interested in people here, and I struggle. And I have had to tell myself, quit forcing yourself. You may like this person, but don't try to make it fit. Stop it. Be friends with people and don't make any commitment beyond that. Sometimes Pacific tries too hard. The Bible says be anxious for nothing, and I think that we just need to live our lives, go to our work, go to our job, and just say, God knows our heart. Is it God's will for Pacific to live and work and be in Hong Kong? No. What would I do if I was there? Okay, granted, I could take care of a legal divorce because I'd be living there and I could file it and get it done, provided I could find her to get her to sign the paperwork. I could meet somebody, possibly marry her there. But what kind of a life would I live? Rent is outrageous there. We would never have our own place over there. Never. We'd have to share a flat with 6 or 7 other women. Now, how well would that work out? When you're married, you kind of want to be with your partner away from all the other people. You see, there's things God sees that Pacific doesn't always see. But culture over here, man, it's not good. It's not good at all. Our culture is taking a dive. And when we're in this culture, because sometimes I'm human, you know, there was somebody she's kind of stuck up, but she had pretty long black hair, a couple of extra pounds, but still good looking, long, beautiful Spanish black hair. And then I see she dyed it a color that's not natural, and I'm like, oh, come on. Why? What is it about our culture of women that they just don't accept what God has given them? They got to change it, and they end up making themselves worse, not better. What I take away from the Asian experience is I was blown away by the natural beauty of Filipino women. Just blown away. No makeup, no breast implants. They didn't need perfume. They didn't have hairspray and hair gel. And They just would shower, comb their hair, put on their clothes, and go. And I'm like, gosh, that's so nice. The simplicity of an uncomplicated life. But I also see the damaging lust for money and materialism and what it's done to some Filipinos, that when they get a taste of that, they become rude and selfish and users and demanding. And I know a lot of stories in the U.S. of men who married Filipinas and had their heart tore right out of their soul as she divorced him, cleaned him out, and brought her whole family over. And I'm not belaboring this. But when I tried to get close to a Filipina I know here in the States, all I saw was using, using, using. And it's not just our culture that does this. There was a woman that I rented from in Hong Kong. She owned a hair salon. She married a Nepalese to get a Hong Kong ID, because when you have a Hong Kong ID, that means that you get to live there and can get a job. As soon as she accomplished that, she divorced his butt and left him. So much for love. I know a woman of a videoke place that I frequented. She told me to my face she married a Chinese man just to get a Hong Kong ID. He used her for something, and then they divorced. That is rampant in Hong Kong, by the way. And Pacific has no interest in using somebody to get somewhere. Let me tell you something that will shock you. When I was with Beth, we were on the steps by the tram that goes up to Victoria Peak. All the girls came out with their employers' dogs. And several of them said, "You know, my gal, maybe it's too bad you can't get Hong Kong ID, but because you married her and she's not a Hong Kong ID, you can't get one." I said, "I know that." And Beth says, "Maybe you ought to divorce me, marry a Chinese woman, get the Hong Kong ID, and then divorce her and then come back to me." And I looked her right in the eye and I said, "Would you feel comfortable with that?" "Well, yeah, because then you could stay, and then I have Hong Kong ID because I'm with you." So I asked her another question. I said, "What if a woman wanted to pay me to sleep with her and pay me big money?" "Yeah, that's okay." I said, "Are you serious?" "Yeah." And that's when it began to dawn on me. There's a lot of users over there. She had a goal. As a Christian woman, it shocked me how easy it was for her to suggest even that kind of a scenario. There was a whole bunch of women standing there that heard her say it. Not one of them said, "That's horrible. I can't believe you said that." They all smiled and said, "Yeah, maybe you should do that. That'd be good." I was a little slow on the draw, guys. I remember I met a folksy Chinese woman when I was walking a dog for a client. And she was walking her dog when we met, and I talked, and she was very pretty. A little bit older than me, but very nice, and she would see me in the marketplace. She goes, "Michael, how are you?" Beth turned around, she goes, "Who's that?" I said, "I met her when I was walking the dog." Often, I thought, boy, if I'd have gone to Hong Kong by myself and didn't get involved with her, and been smarter, could have probably met some really nice, got it together women, and maybe had life over there in a good way. Sometimes, the Chinese, in some ways, some of the Chinese women I did meet that actually were kind to me, they were a little bit more professional than a lot of the Filipinos I knew. And I don't mean professional in the terms of I make big money and I have a degree, but it's finally hit me that a lot of the Filipinos, even the ones I knew, are very immature, very silly, not very serious. And it started to get to me that, you're really enamored with these gals. And I'll tell you what, since I have come back to the United States, there is a culture of Filipina girls that just use, and they have only one objective: to get what they want. That's messed up. So I contrast that and go, so it'd be better to marry somebody from your culture, wouldn't it? Yes, it would. Except our culture is very immature and using. Then there's a 23-year-old across the ocean who's intellectual and says, I'm stressed, I have long hours, my workload, my study load is huge, and I'm sad because you're the only voice I want to listen to, because we have so much in common, and because you understand me and you don't look down on me, and oh, I wish I could have you with me. I'm human, folks. She watches my videos, so she'll know I'm talking about her. That's okay. Culture Club. A specific church is a culture, not necessarily of the Bible. A lot of women and men as Christians do things that are not always spirit-led. There was a guy I knew in Spokane, Washington. The lady I rented from in her home for a year plus told to me this. I came to her one day because we both knew this guy from the same church we attended. I said, man, this guy just buttonholes me, badgers me, and tries to come off so spiritual, doesn't even care about me, never asks when I first started going, do you have a job, how are you, never befriended me. She smiled and she said, Michael, I know a little bit about him. He was very heavily into drugs and drinking. She said, don't you know that people that come out of that lifestyle, when they get saved, they quit doing that, but they trade one addiction for another. Now he's got a self-righteous addiction, a righteous zeal addiction. I said, I never thought about that. She goes, go and look back at all the people that were addicted to controlled substances and look at how obnoxious they are once they become Christians. Pushing, running around, trying to tell everybody, you got to do this, got to do. I said, I never thought about that. She goes, Michael, it happens all the time. This book reminded me today that even women who quote scripture and act like they're all super spiritual, and behind this woman, she's so messed up herself, her husband's a mess, her kids are a mess. And I've talked to you about women I met online that were quite self-righteous. That is used to bolster their own insecurity as a shield. All the self-righteousness that's exhibited by anyone is just simply a pathetic shield defense mechanism to hide their insecurity. The gal overseas says, I admire your confidence. And I said, oh, I wrote to her tonight. Confidence? I said, you don't know how much I sweat. I'm an insecure man of any man. And I said, probably more so than most. But I've learned to say, override it. I do it with the students. I do it on YouTube. And I thought to myself, I felt that insecurity creep in. One of her boyfriends sees your channel and sees. And I said, so what? I'm not in his world, and I don't want to be in his world. This is my world. 500,000+ people watch me. The numbers dropped when I deleted 200 videos that needed to go. But the fact is, it was up to 550,000, and it'll get there again, Lord willing, and pass it. The people that talk to me, the people that view me, they're not all freaks and losers. And let me say something else. Some of you all are sending me your phone numbers, and I appreciate that, but I delete. And I'll tell you why. This weekend's a classic example. I started getting several calls from just a handful of people I've allowed to have my number. And with one of my friends, I said, look, I've been talking all day. I've got to get off the phone. And I'm going to be honest. Sometimes I'm at home, this rings, I look and I go, oh, not now. I'm not taking any numbers. If I want somebody's number, I'll ask for it, but I cannot do it. I cannot let this consume my life. I don't want my viewers to take this personal and think I don't care. If 550,000 people have watched my channel, do you really think I can reach out to all of them with phone calls, emailing, and talking? There's no way. So please understand, I've created a channel. I want it to be personable, but I'm limited, so I have to be fair and say, I've got enough on board already. I can't. The Pacific Ocean Superliner is booked. Thought you'd appreciate that. They can only carry so many passengers on the decks of my boat. We're all in a culture. And because we're in a culture, we need to be very careful that we don't let culture dictate the truth. We need truth. We need to look through the lens of truth at our culture and ask ourselves, is this right or is it wrong? Too many people use the cultural glasses to look at the Bible. If you don't believe me, homosexuals say, well, Jesus himself, the words in red that are supposed to be Christ, he never said a word about homosexuality. Okay. Well, actually, he did. It says the Word of God, all scripture is given by inspiration of God, is God breathed. Yes, Jesus said it. He said it was wrong. When a man lies with another man, as he does with a woman, it's an abomination. When a woman lies with a woman as with a man, it's an abomination. Romans 1 very clearly states God gave them up over to a reprobate mind to do those things which ought not be done. When a woman lies with a woman, and a woman has desire for a woman, man has desire. You know what? This thing is off the charts, folks. And I realize I've become polluted by some of this stuff, and I'm starting to ask myself, I need to make steps to change. And some of that change may be some very dramatic steps I have to take to change it. I was talking to my friend, a Christian brother at work, overheard something I said, and I shared with him that I had a Christian friend years ago that said, why don't you just give in to all this and get it out of your system? And this other friend of mine at work that I do respect, he says, yeah, feed the flame. That's a bad idea. Just give an alcoholic another drink, and something clicked. We may never get totally mastery over something, but we can stop feeding it. And if by hanging out with other people, if by looking at something, if by listening to music or watching television or participating in something that lends itself to that, guess what we need to do? Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. Why are we feeding it? I've been guilty of feeding it. And I'm going to tell you something that's none of us men want to hear. If we want to grow in Christ, sometimes we have to make our own effort. Not to go to Hong Kong or not to go to Australia to find some gorgeous woman that I like. I have yet to come to the point in my life where I just say, okay, God, I'll stop this. I can't stop all the thoughts, and I may not be able to stop entertaining thought, but I won't look at this. I won't talk this way to this person. I won't engage in this kind of conversation. Who's to say he might not open that door you never thought could be open if you start living the way he wants you to? Or who's to say he might not bring somebody who's already here, who's more like that one across the ocean? I don't know. A lot of Christians don't have it right. If there's one thing this book talks about, codependency, what almost no one knows about families, the family as a system. That's one chapter. There's some interesting stuff. Profile of a functional family system. What is a healthy functional marriage? Who are healthy functional parents? The 5 freedoms, effective communication, rules in a functional family. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Power struggles and the need for completion. Narcissistic deprivation. Now, this I don't agree with. Children need to have their healthy narcissistic needs met. I'd have to read this to get to where he's going, but if there's one thing that we've got to be careful of is when secular psychology worms its way in. Be very careful. What I take away from that book, I haven't read it all, and I probably won't. I will skim it and then put it back on the table at work. Even secular people can look in on some of us Christians and go, that's a dysfunctional mess. When we come to Jesus Christ, don't think for 1 minute that he truly transforms us all instantaneously. I look at people at church who have been going for 30, 40 years, raised in Christian homes, and guess what? They bring all their humanity and all their problems right in with it. Just because they're Christians doesn't mean they're this revitalized new person that's never going to do the same old things again. Yes, they will. They still struggle with materialism. They still struggle with cliquishness. They still struggle with, I don't want to talk to that person. He sinned. I never did that. They have not matured in their faith at all. They're still babes in Christ. They may not have committed sexual immorality, but there's a lot of things they're committing that they're too blind to see. A lot of people that grow up in the Christian homes and settings sometimes can be the most detrimental to witnessing, detrimental to new growth in the church, and the detrimental for people like me. Because I get around stuff like that and I get irritated. It's like, you know what? You guys aren't doing a bit of good. You're just stagnant. I need a fire for God, and I need a way to get out of my own garbage and actually grow, and you people aren't helping me a bit. But honestly, if I want to take this channel somewhere, it's going to have to take some discipline on myself to start modeling some things in my own life, because I admit, there's sometimes I do things because I love it. Who doesn't want to look at a picture of a topless woman? I do. You know, I can't have it, so why not have it vicariously? But just that little comment, why feed the flame? Isn't that the truth? Put another log on the fire. Sheesh. Okay, I gotta go to bed. I'm gonna upload this in the morning if I have time. Been sleeping a lot more lately. Thank you for watching me, viewers. And I would encourage everybody to go back in the videos prior to this, the Hong Kong videos. Some of you might think, what are these old videos? Did his YouTube channel screw up? No, these are uploaded videos never before released that I uploaded this weekend. Talking from my rented room, TV preachers, all of those. Excuse me. There's good stuff in there. A couple of those messages I did, one was from the place that I rented from the hairstylist in Hong Kong, in Mui Hua, and the one where I'm talking about TV preachers and, you know, Hollywood, and those are good stuff. So definitely stop by and check them out. And we're going to start talking about some other issues. We're going to be talking about cussing pretty soon, because we have picked up quite a bit of a problem with that, men and women, and we need to talk about what God's Word has to say about profane speech, because we are literally one step behind the world, and we're not looking real good, and we've got to start tightening up some loose ends. Anyways, this is Pacific signing off. Bye-bye.